Hello guys, welcome to this new video. In this case, I'm actually gonna be doing something different. As you can see, this is my beautiful PC wallpaper. Pretty amazing, isn't it? No, there was no pun intended. Okay, now I and now, some days ago, on June the 1st, I actually rewatched all the 8 episodes of TADC. Since the finale is about to come up in just some days. I'm recording this on the 3rd of June, and the finale is gonna be tomorrow, at least for me, because I'm gonna go to the cinema tomorrow. Oh my god, like please do not let anything bad happen to any of the characters, but especially Jax. I swear, something happens to Jax. I'm gonna do something, okay? I'm not gonna specify, but I'm definitely gonna be doing something. I'm gonna be changing something. I don't know if for me or if for someone else or for both. Something will definitely happen. Okay, maybe I'm just joking, but yeah, just Jax. You will not expect, right? Right? Please, please, do not distract, do not distract. Anyways, no, that isn't the main point. The main point here is that while I was rewatching all the 8 episodes of TDC, if you watch, if you see, if you check my posts, you'll note that now I have the TDC notebook since I got it for my birthday, which was some weeks ago at the like the last week of May. I actually wrote some interesting questions and analysis and also theories I've made about the TDC as a whole. So I'm gonna be reading those to you. Now I know that I could also make the video where I just read it, but like I think I wrote too much, so I don't think I will be able to tell you all of these in a short. And I don't know yet how to do this by phone, so I'm just gonna have to use my NPC. Well, at least while I'm reading this information, and there's gonna be this amazing wallpaper, while I'm reading all this. So yeah, enjoy. Now, first of all, when did this hatred of Zubal towards Kane begin? Now, was it like that when Zubal came into the circus, they already hated Kane? Or was it that Zubal came into the circus and slowly but surely they begin hating Kane because they saw that Kane didn't really care about the humans, he cared more about, stroking his own ego, caring more about his adventures. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now, this is the next thing I'm gonna say is actually more of an analysis. In the pilot episode, when Jack says that I've got keys everywhere and you've all been fine, he actually refers to the fact that he secretly feels relief in the fact that all the other characters have been fine. It's like we all know that Jack's mess is emotions. So yeah, he secretly feels relief about the fact that they feel that they're all fine. There's actually the theory that Jax has the keys secret in order to secretly check if the others are fine, which I think actually sums up his character pretty well, if I'm being honest. Now, okay, now this is a pretty interesting sort of bug or glitch that I found. This is always from the pilot episode. How cool it that when Pomni comes back to where Ragata was, this happens after Ragata gets smashed by Kovmo, after Pomni escapes from the abstracted Kovmo, Pomni comes back to the hallway. Also other parts of the hallway are damaged, like even the parts that weren't touched by the abstracted Cosmo, like also the deep of the hallway, like the abstracted Cosmo didn't arrive there yet, it appeared damaged. I think here in this case you like have to like watch carefully the pilot episode. That's just a thing I actually noticed during this rewatch. So I myself didn't even notice this thing all the other times I rewatched the series or rewatched just the pilot. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting question. Just so maybe it was just added like for dramaticy sake, for dramatic sake. I don't know. And now this one is a pretty good analysis. I think that the fact of doing the comparison of between pilot Pomni and episode 8 Pomni, when Pomni has to find the Axie, we know that she does that in both the pilot and in episode 8. I think that actually is to show the fact that despite all the struggles, and all the new discoveries that were being made by the characters, the system, the operative system of the circus, controlled by Kane, actually held on, actually resisted. Do you say that in English? I don't know, but like the operative system of the circus led by Kane actually resisted against these things. And episode 8 indeed will have been the last time we will have seen the circus as normal and color before the change that will happen at the end of episode 8 itself with the death of Kane. And now we are gonna jump back to the pilot episode. Now, do you know that when Pomni goes to the exit, and then she finds herself in this like this sort of loop of hallways, the exit door actually disappears. Now, did the exit door disappear because that's just how it automatically works, or because Pomni stopped believing in something? Because we know that Pomni managed to create the exit because she believed in it. That's how she achieved the exit door in both episode 1 and episode 8. And episode 1, it disappeared. Was it because it automatically works like that, or because Pomni stopped believing in something? Actually, I just noticed right now that this actually doesn't get addressed in episode 8. Because in episode 8, Pomni makes the exit spawn because she believes on it. She believes in it. She takes the PC, or like the giant computer, and she just goes back to the circus. Like in this case, the exit didn't disappear, and she didn't go into the void. Like she didn't need to go into the void since the exit never disappeared. I actually noticed it just right now. Like I didn't even write this thing in the notebook. I actually noticed this right now while reading all of this to you guys. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if these are bugs or like just like this happened. Just deal with it. It's nothing important. But I like analyzing these small things. Anyways, first of all, I want to check if it's still recording. Yes, it is still recording. All right. And now we are now gonna go to episode 2. Now in episode 2, when did Jax take the key from Ragata? I don't think this is a really important question. Like, but I'm still curious. When could it have happened? Like, we don't actually see it happen in episode 2 itself. But if you have to guess, like, when could it have happened? In like doing the truck chasing, after, or like even before the truck chasing began? I don't really know. And the next thing that I'm gonna say is actually a pretty funny one. I think that the syrup, in the Candy Canyon Kingdom is the equivalent of electricity and oil. Like really, like they are literally all the implications about syrup being the equivalent of at least oil in the Candy Canyon Kingdom. Like, okay, now this is always about episode 2, and I'm gonna say now, I don't know if this is something that only I have noticed, or if this is something that others have noticed too. When Pomni tries to reassure Gamigu, telling him that don't think about that, I have the impression that she believed that it could have abstracted, since she arrived in the circus just some days ago, so she didn't know yet about the fact that NPCs can't actually abstract. I don't know if that's what Gooseworx English wanted to tell us, with that small scene. Okay. Now, once again, this is a pretty irrelevant question. Once again, now, did the Fudge initially behave himself good inside the Candy Canyon Kingdom, or right off from the start, he hated the delicious candy inhabitants? Okay, and now we're gonna go to episode 3. Now, this once again is a pretty interesting and great analysis. I think that from Episode 3 onwards is when we begin seeing the lore being explored. Like in the beginning, it's just about like the minor characters like Kinger, Zubul, and that's in Gangle, but but that's just to leave the more interesting part, like the lore of the more important characters such as Ragata, Jax, Kane for later, for the later episodes. In fact, we know that episode 5 and 6, have Jax and Ragata interchanging with each other. And then episode 7 and episode 8, we have explored Kane and the history of the circus. And I think that in the last episode, we are gonna be having the characters talking about their past lives inside the circus. So before Pomnicade, I think it will be mainly about Jax, but not just about Jax. I think that it may actually be something like this. Like we begin from Jax flashback. They will probably most likely, definitely, 100% involve Rebit, the abstraction of Rebit. The possible argument between Jax and Kaufmo. All the events will have led up to Kaufmo abstracting, and Mimo will probably also seen the other circus inhabitants arise, such as Gengal and Zubul. So we'll probably have seen Gengal and Zubul's stories develop, and these stories will also get influenced by the fact that Jax will end up changing his behavior before because of Ribbit's abstraction. So that means they will also see Ragata's story being influenced by Jack's changing behavior. So yeah, I think it will begin from Jax, and then there's gonna be other sessions being opened that's just gonna lead to the past stories of the other characters as well. And I think that this intuition of mine, that the fact that from episode 3 onwards is when the lore begins getting explored, gets proven, gets confirmed by the fact that Gooseworx published the list about the focus of the characters for each episode only after episode 2. So this was like a Gooseworx way of saying towards the fans, hey dear fans, enjoy the funny side of the series has finished. From now on, things are gonna slowly become a lot more serious with the lore getting explored just a bit, and eventually you'll get to know a lot about the lore. Okay, and now we're gonna jump to episode 4. Now this is actually a pretty interesting thing. The fact that Zubul, which is Gangel's first friend, didn't want to go to an adventure in which Gengel was the manager, was the leader, while Jax always chooses Gengel as the main target of his pranks or like of his mischief. He actually wanted to go to the adventure. Could seem strange, but I think that this actually has to do with the psychology of the two characters. If Zuba would have gone to the adventure, Tane may have been accused of favoritism, of double standard, like, oh, you're going to that adventure just because your friend Gangle is the leader here, haha. Well, if Jax didn't go to the adventure, he could have seemed like a coward towards the others. Like, oh yeah, Gangle, which is usually the main target of your pranks, is being the leader, and that's why you don't want to go. You're such a coward. So at the end, they both kept they both ended up doing the same choices that they would have done in every single other adventure. Because like yes, Zubo still ended up going in the adventure, but at least it looked like they were being forced into going into the adventure. So it didn't look like at the end that Zubul themselves voluntarily decided to go into the adventure. So all of this is just to keep intact the status quo of the place. Actually, at the end of all these analyses, I'm gonna have some interesting things to say about the status quo, what's real, what's not real. It's gonna be pretty interesting. Now, and from here, I actually want to address the theory about the Gangle getting ran over by a truck. I actually want to say a pretty interesting take. Couldn't it be that Gangle, after leaving the fast food job for whatever reason. Like we know that Gangle in episode 5 says that she worked in fast food and then she implies that she left it for whatever reason. Could it be that after she left this job, she was hit by a truck but miraculously survived and then went into community college? And maybe then, after also leaving that job, that's when maybe she could have gotten hit by ran over by a truck. In that case, she may have actually died, or at least she may have been left in pretty grave in pretty grave in pretty serious injuries due to that. Uh, like uh, my main point is that maybe she wasn't even hit by one truck, but maybe she actually got hit by two trucks. Like I think that this actually gets proven by the fact that in the series itself we see the truck appearing two times. And no, I don't count the whole truck thing in episode 2. There was more like Jax putting on a tantrum, like forcing Gangle to drive on the track. And once again, that was even before episode 4, so before we got to know about Gengal's backstory, before we saw like the truck get running over Gengal, like the episode 2 truck didn't like run over Gengal or something like that. Well, the trucks that we saw in both episode 4 and episode 8 did run over Gengal, so you had to like take clue. Like you have to be careful, like watching these details here. And now from here, this is about episode 8, and once again, like the whole episode 2 thing about Pomni reassuring Gamigu, I don't know if this one here only I myself have noticed it, or if also other fans have noticed it as well. I think that in episode 8, when Jax interrupts Kinger, while Kinger's talking with the bucket on his head, maybe Jax wanted to ask him about some. Maybe Jax wanted to ask Kinger about some things about Ribbit, since Kinger knows a lot. So maybe Jax thought, oh, maybe I could ask him some stuff about Ribbit. So maybe I myself get to understand even more how she could have abstracted, or like if there's something more deep. That it wasn't just me, that it also involved other stuff as well. Like this is what I'm trying to say. So once again, I don't know if the Gooseworx and Glitch wanted to like tell us that thing, like if that was the message that Gooseworx and Glitch wanted to give us by showing us that mini scene. Like, for what reason could Jax have interrupted Kinger saying, "Wait"? Like I don't know. Like the only thing that comes to my mind is that he wanted to ask some things about the Ribbit. And from here, I'm gonna jump over to the two main points slash conclusions I've made about the series. I'm gonna begin by, yeah, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's actually raining. Yeah, I can't believe it. It's early June and it still happens to be raining. Seriously, the climate is getting a lot worse. I don't know where are we gonna be by 2030. Yeah, by 2030, this Earth is gonna be gone. We're gonna be living, I don't know, in Mars, in the moon. But that's not the main point. I'm pretty sure you can still hear me even with the rain, right? Right? If not, then I'm gonna blame the rain if you can hear me. Now, first of all, I want to focus even more about the thing that I said earlier about the status quo. Now, I think that in the series we constantly see the battle and the contrast between the status quo and what is against the status quo. Kane is the characters that is most in favor of keeping the status quo, that is already established, that is existed for a lot of years, even before Pomni came into the circus. Pomni instead acts like the main force that destabilizes the status quo, and also when Pomni becomes more confident and more badass, because yes, Pomni is a badass, and I'm saying this as a Jax fan, but I mean, Jax himself will think that Pomni is badass, like at least secretly inside his mind, inside his heart. But because I am Jax, I relate myself to both Jax and Gangle, so I'm pretty sure, like I'm in some cases I'm able to like interpret Jax's emotions kind of well. So yeah, I think that both V and Jax will definitely agree about the fact that Pomni is a complete badass. So yeah, when Pomni becomes more confident and badass, uh, she constantly tries to modify the status quo. Since she becomes curious about Kane as well as the other characters. So she begins asking questions about Kane and the other characters. The other characters instead, during the course of the series, they switch between doing things that are in favor of keeping the status quo and doing things that are like against the status quo. And this depends on the type of adventure that is happening. So it also depends from how the characters are psychologically feeling at the moment. And now, and the end of episode 8 is the changing point about this issue, about this battle, about this contrast. Pomni is the first one to rebel against Kane, but the other characters too end up doing the same thing. So this brings all the other characters on the side of the main anti-status quo force, so Pomni, against the main pro-status quo force, so Kane. And the moment in which Kane gets deleted is when the status quo gets irreversibly damaged. Nothing is like before anymore. Like the fact that when Zubo swears there isn't any censoring only serves to show even more the fact that there has been a really radical change. No more censoring, no more colorful colors in the circus, etc. Nothing is like before anymore. Nothing is anymore like before. And another interesting contrast is actually between what's real and what isn't real. Now, some characters have accepted, although reluctantly, the fact that they are now trapped inside the circus, while other characters have still been in complete negation, like complete denial, thinking that all of this isn't true and that it's just only, like how Paranoid Pomni would say, just a dream. And episode 4, I think, actually shows this contrast pretty well because it deals with doing an adventure about something that's real, so fast food, in a world that isn't necessarily real or at least doesn't belong to the real world, so the circus. And it's in that episode where we see some of the masks of some characters temporarily disintegrate, temporarily fall. And this involves mostly the characters of Jax, Gangle, and Ragata. Only Pomni and Zubul don't get any radical changes during that adventure since between the six humans, uh, Pomni and Zubul are the most honest, along with Kinger, about their feelings and problems, even though they still have some small problems to deal with. So this was the end of my analysis and some questions after doing the rewatch of the series. It only remains some hours. At this point, it just remains 24 hours for my time zone for the episode 9 to begin in the theater. So it just remains 1 day for me. Oh my god. Yeah, I hope you could perfectly hear me in the last part, even though it was raining. Like I don't even know if you can hear that it's raining or not. I don't really know. So yeah, about the questions that I made, like if you feel like doing it, you could like write in the comments like some answers. Like because I'm really interested about this stuff. Like this is probably one of the first times I actually decided to do some theories, some analysis, some interesting questions. And I feel like that getting some answers will be like a pretty good reward because I took a lot of time writing all of these. Like it's just like 3-4 pages or something like that. No, it's actually 5. I think it may actually be 5 pages that I wrote in this notebook, about all these things about the series. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this analysis video. This video about me analyzing the series after rewatching all the 8 episodes. After rewatching all the 8 episodes. So yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.